Welcome guys to another episode of the All Ears podcast with me, Luke Barnatt. This podcast was invented for me to learn more about the world. I felt like as I became a good fighter, the better I got, the more I had to learn. The more I'm learning about all these things in life, I feel like I know so little. So I bring on interesting guests to talk to them about different topics in the world. I try and learn along with them and they get to teach me things, and hopefully you guys learn as well. Okay, welcome guys. I have Mr. Rob Lipsett with me. Thank you very much for joining us. And I wanted to start by saying, being a fitness influencer, you know, obviously having to stay on diet and all those things. Do you find it difficult when you go out to social situations with people that you don't know so well, but you're like at things? Do you feel like you're always constantly being judged about how you're eating, how you're acting, what you're doing?
First of all, thanks so much for having me on, Luke. Appreciate it. Marbella local. Love to see the podcast doing so well. And this is in my neighborhood. So when I see things like this pop up, I'm like, yes, I'm invested in Nueva Lucia. So love it. And thanks so much for having me on. But so in terms of social situations, so I wrote a book. It's called the Rob Lipsett Game Plan, and a huge part of that book is about lifestyle and flexible dieting. And so when I started off getting involved in fitness and learning about training and nutrition, I actually developed pretty much an eating disorder and social anxiety around training and nutrition. I was very young. I was, maybe like 20, and I was afraid to go out to eat. How cringe and lame does that sound? I would always freak out about my diet. If I had a drink, I'd be like, oh no, my progress is ruined for the week. And then I realized that fitness is meant to improve your life, not take away from it. So I started studying how to, kind of tailor my whole plan that could allow me to go out and have fun and not derail myself, and also change up my mindset as well, which is kind of the main thing. So if I'm going out to a social situation, I will literally, kind of like what you said before this podcast, I'll just bank some calories, mainly carbs and fats, for that meal out, and then I won't worry about it. If I'm gonna have some drinks, I'll lower carbs, lower fats, do some extra cardio, do a walk that day, and then just don't go overboard. And then when you're there, make smart choices like Diet Coke and vodka, order like just a steak and broccoli, whatever, and then I don't overthink it. But in the past, man, it used to mess my head so much. I'd be like, oh no, I'll just order, a mocktail or something. Everybody like, what the fuck? But so I've learned over the years through a lot of trial and error and a lot of kind of research to figure out how to live life to the fullest and not have it detract, from social situations and detract from you having fun. And that's one of the biggest things when I'm working with a client is, especially Irish and UK people, they love going out, is how are we going to incorporate your plan into your whole entire life? So that's something that I used to definitely struggle with, especially when I was younger. But now I've kind of learned to work around it.
Yeah, because I mean, as a fighter, when I had to make weight. It's obviously different occupation, different thing. Still. But I used to be the awkward guy that would go out and only drink water, and I would only eat. So I'd be so calorie specific, and everyone just thought I was a weirdo.
Now, with that said, these days that's all good for maintaining progress. Mm-hmm. If you want to make progress, and if you're fucking mad out of shape, you're going to have to go monk mode for a couple months. Right, you're not going to make progress going out, eating out every meal, every evening, or even every weekend, and having drinking every weekend. You can maintain, but 90% of people can't make significant progress. Like, you'll just coast along and you'll stay in good shape. But if you really want to get massive results, then you're going to have to put in a lot of effort and a lot of sacrifice. So you can maintain, but you can't make mad progress doing that.
Yeah, I think you said it, like most guys, they think about the weekend. And I remember this, I used to work with a guy called Mike Dolce. I don't know if you've heard of him.
Dolce Diet.
Dolce Diet. Yeah. So he was big in the fighting game.
Yeah.
Still is big and does great work. And he's all about the plant-based diet and all these sort of things. I'll have Mike on the podcast at one point when I go over to the States. But he used to say to me the same thing, like with the regular guys that you deal with, they always talk about the weekend. The weekend's 3 days. It's Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
It's
half the week. And then if you mess up once during the week, one meal during the week you mess up, that means that you're just doing 50-50 dieting. That's what that stuck with me. It's like, oh, so you just eat out of the weekends, it's 50-50 dieting.
Yeah, so, it's like, it's the exact 3.5. Okay, week is 7 days, so let's say you fucking go out on Thursday. You're on a bender till Sunday. It's like, that is fully, I think that's more than half the week, you know what I mean?
So I think a lot of people struggle with that ideology of a cheat meal. He used to make me do one, I don't know what you do for your clients or how you look at life, but when I was fighting, it used to be once every 10 days. And that then cancels out the like weekly cycle type thing. So I'd have to literally calculate, okay, this time it's a Wednesday, next week is going to be a Thursday, whatever it would be. But how, like you said, what was the book called?
It's called the Rob Lipsett Game Plan.
Game Plan.
Yeah, Game
okay,
Plan.
right.
Yeah,
So
same as my app. So I got the app name and
okay,
everything.
perfect.
Yeah.
So with the game plan, how do you approach, like you said, for social situations? You said that you try and add a bit of cardio in the day, like what I've done, because I'm going out for Christmas meal tonight.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it with the boys.
Yeah, nice.
Today I had a salmon salad, which is, in my opinion, is pretty gay.
Yeah.
But I had to do it, and I've just drank water all day, and I did a good solid workout this morning. So I know I'm going to be calorie heavy tonight.
Yeah.
And I'm in the situation in my life now where I've been a professional athlete, and I've now come out into making a bit of money and working and socializing and networking and going to these events and doing all this sort of stuff. I found over the last 2 years, it's been 3 years since I had a fight. Pretty much this weekend was my last fight 3 years ago. So in those 3 years, I've gone from having 8% body fat to 26% body fat, and now I'm about 19%, if I want to say that.
Yeah, that's accurate.
Yeah, I'm trying to drop back down to 12. But what would that be? I don't want to be like most people watching. I don't want to probably be on stage. I don't want to do it. I just want to be in shape, look good, feel good, all that other stuff. What is the like range of a good above average guy who's like wants to look good and feel good?
Yeah, for sure. So first of all, you're a big dude, big frame, so you'll be able to cut on a lot of calories, you know, compared to the average guy. So the first thing I would do is I would work out, first of all, what's going to put you in about a 500 calorie deficit. So you go online, you type in TDE calculator, and you'll get, you know, a bunch of different calculators that you put in your height, weight, activity level, and it'll give you, you know, calorie intake to go for. And then you want to set protein at a gram per pound of body weight. If you're cutting, I actually kind of recommend, now you don't need this much, but generally you're going to do better on even a little bit higher. And that's not for any superior muscle gain or recovery. It's more just for satiety, which is stops you getting hungry, which is the main thing in a cut. Why do you fucking mess up? You get too hungry, you eat too much. That's it, there's the science, right? And so the more protein you eat, typically, you know, you can't just have all your calories made of protein, but the more protein you eat, typically you're going to be more full. If someone put a plate of unseasoned chicken breast in front of you, like 2,000 calories worth, you probably couldn't even eat it. But if someone put like, you know, a birthday cake or whatever, a donut, you could absolutely floor them easily. It'd be like a tiny plate. So I would stick just over a gram per pound of body weight for protein, a 500 calorie deficit. I would have protein in at every single meal, and then I'd have the rest, about 20% of your calories coming from fats, and the rest of your calories should come from carbs. Now, you don't want to completely eliminate carbs. Your training is going to go to shit if you do, and then you're going to lose muscle. And so the main goal on a cut is to lose body fat and retain muscle. Right? There's no point. Everyone can lose weight if you just slash what you eat, but you want to be performing to the best of your ability while also dropping body fat. So people think, I know people do keto and it works for some, but the majority of people will do better on just lowering their carbs, but still keeping their carbs in. And so their training doesn't go to shit. Lift as heavy as possible. The whole light weight for high reps to burn and tone, that's BS. You got that muscle by lifting heavy. How are you going to retain it? By lifting heavy. So another thing that I recommend when it comes to your training is, let's say you start your cut, you're benching 100 kg. It's a successful cut if at the end of it, in 12 weeks, you're at a lower body fat percentage and you're still lifting the same. So what I do, a mental cue that I say to myself, I'll pick like my main compound lifts, and let's say I'll have a 12-week cut, and I say I am going to fight to stick lifting these weights. So if my squat is at 140, my bench is at 120, deadlift is at 160, whatever, I'm going to just do everything I can to keep those numbers where they are throughout the cut. So that's one thing is people, they'll go in, they'll feel weak one day and they'll kind of slack a little bit and they say, oh, I'll just go light and do high reps. You shouldn't do that. Try keep the intensity high and keep lifting heavy. Then, going back to diet, I recommend eating something that you love every single day. And now there's actually research that show that with rigid dieting, flexible dieting, the people that are a little bit more flexible and they have something they enjoy every day, maybe some pancakes, some fuel cakes, maybe even just like frozen yogurt, whatever it is. If you have that one thing every day, it's going to keep you on track and keep you from burning out. So that's another thing I would say. Keep a very hydrated. Sounds super boring and super obvious. No one does it. Okay. The amount of people that they just don't really think about it, and throughout the whole day, like they have a coffee in the morning, they have a pre-workout, then maybe they have a Diet Coke. They're drinking like maybe less than a liter of liquid. You want to be, most people, between 3 to 5 liters, okay? No calories, stay hydrated, keeps you full. It's just an all-round win. Then moving on to sleep, probably the biggest factor in everything. And this is something that I messed up on for so many years. And I think when you're in college and you're young that you think, I can just, you fuck off sleep, and it's all about training and nutrition because that's what you read about in magazines, and that's what's shoved down our throat. But basically everything goes to shit if you're not sleeping correctly. You actually have a tougher time sticking to your diet. Of course, you're weaker in the gym. You can't go as hard and as heavy. Your motivation dwindles. You're not as mentally sharp. And you're more stressed in general. And can actually, funny one is, lack of sleep and higher stress can cause you to hold water weight because your cortisol goes up. So that can actually mask any body fat you're losing, can be very demotivating. So sleep is kind of the fundamental of everything. And that's something that I, excuse the pun, slept on for a couple years. So what I recommend doing is having a nighttime routine in place. So I don't have an alarm in the morning. I have an alarm at night telling me when to go to bed. So I have an alarm at 9. It's like ding, ding. And it's like, go to fucking sleep, Rob. And then I'll have notifications not come through my phone at 7 p.m. There's a setting you can do that. I'll try not have a massive meal, in the evening. Nothing to do with it'll turn to fat. Just, it's kind of uncomfortable to sleep on that. Try not to drink too much or you'll be going to the bathroom all night. And then try avoid screens and wind down and sleep with the phone in the other room. So they're the kind of main things I do with sleep. And then also wake up and go to sleep at the same time every day if possible. Just get into a routine because it's just good for your circadian rhythm. So they are, just off the top of my head, some basics. You follow that, you'll be jacked and shredded in no time.
Oh, that is a lot of information really quickly.
So it's nutrition, high protein, high volume food, lots of veggies, lots of meat. Your training, lift heavy, and then your sleep, a good sleep routine, and stay hydrated. So there's 4 things.
One of the things you said I wanted to pry into was you said about lifting heavy, and you gave examples of weights or whatever. I think you said 120, 140, 160. Yeah. You're doing that. So this is, again, thinking about cutting, doing a 12-week cut.
Yep.
You're going to test yourself. You do a 1-rep max you're talking about a full set of those weights, and then you want to try and do them fully carbed up, fully energized, feeling good, and you lift, and then you want to do the same thing with the cut in 12 weeks and maintain that strength, right?
Pretty much.
But you're doing what? Because just for me in the gym today, I got this psychopathic Dominican Republic bodybuilder, personal trainer that's making me do, and he's making me push heavy, but he's making me do 20 reps, 15 reps, 12 reps, and then I go to failure as well, and he does drop sets and all this other crazy stuff, which I don't control. Yeah. But just for a normal thought process, when you're doing a test, if you want to call it a test,
yes,
at the pre-cut, post-cut of this heavy weight lift, let's say it's 100 kilo bench press, just to keep it simple, you're doing 100 kilo bench, how many reps do I want to be hitting on that? Yeah,
so usually the typical bodybuilding hypertrophy range that we're doing now, maybe in your earlier days you'd be doing lower rep, more strength-based stuff. So 3 sets of 8. That's probably the one you've heard so much. And then, so at the start of your workout, I recommend keeping things as consistent as possible. So just no fancy stuff, no burnout sets. At the start, you just do your usual 3 sets of 8 on whatever you're doing. Then you want to keep that consistent throughout the plan. Then, as your workout goes on, comes to the end, you can do the burnout stuff. You can do drop sets and supersets. But I recommend try to keep the beginning of your workout as consistent as possible, because if you're constantly switching things up, let's say you start off with a superset one day, or you start off with a burnout set, or you start off with a different exercise, you actually can't accurately gauge your progress. Because if you're, let's say one week you start off with squats, the next person leg press, it's still a leg movement, but it's completely different. So it's hard to actually see if you're maintaining or making progress.
Okay, so 3 sets of 8 for a set amount, and then you need to keep that number and maintain that 12 weeks later, but on a less calorie intake, 500 deficit or whatever it's going to be, right?
Exactly.
Okay,
so
cool.
you're actually better at summarizing it than me. That's exactly it.
I kind of understand what you're saying, but I just want to make sure it's super
That's bang
clear.
on. Yeah.
And then one thing I wanted to ask about, because there's a lot of noise around this whole fasting thing, intermittent fasting. What's your opinion on doing intermittent fasting? How do you find it? Do you do that? How do you feel about it?
Oh, I do it every day.
Okay.
First of all, so now I'm the man to talk to you about this, and I'll tell you why, right? So I do it more or less every day. You know, there's some days I want to eat some breakfast. I fucking eat some breakfast, right? But so I do it, but I don't think that there's any magical benefits. Some people, the reason that like there's a lot of guys out there and their whole approach is intermittent fasting, their whole shtick, and they're doing that to sell intermittent fasting programs. Okay, and so they're like saying this is the way, this will boost your growth hormone, boost your testosterone, do all this magical stuff, and it's just not. So people say that fasting boosts your growth hormone. It does so much in such a small way that you can't even measure it. It's like a few percentage that will make no significant difference, you know. And people say, oh, you know, it'll promote autophagy, P-H-A-G-Y, autophagy, whatever you want to say it. It's basically like it does these things in such small doses that it's like, and you can achieve through typical dieting. Mm-hmm. So the main reason I do intermittent fasting is just you get to eat bigger meals, because you're eating less throughout the day, and it's just more convenient, and it's better for productivity. If I smash a massive breakfast in the morning, I'm like half asleep. Yeah. You know, I'm just dead, and it's like, it's also time consuming. I do all my work, I wake up at like 6, and I'll work shitload of caffeine, shitload of water, straight in the laptop for 4 hours, on my phone straight away. You know, none of that, leave it in the other room for an hour, and I'll just do 4 hours deep work in the morning, and then I'll go to the gym, and then I'll eat. So that's the main reason I do intermittent fasting, is for productivity. I do it, and I don't think that it's giving me magical superpowers like some people try and sell.
Oh, but then what about working out when you're fasted? So you said you wake up and you work, as in
on laptop,
make money.
Yeah.
And then do you eat before you work out, or how do you do that?
No, usually I'll just have pre-workout, which is no calories, and then I'll go to the gym. And now, another thing, man, we're getting some good topics here, okay? So it's far more important what you eat in 24 hours than, you know, hour per hour. And so let me say this, right? Let's say you have a meal at 8 p.m., right? You go to sleep at 10 or whatever. Do you think all that food is just gone? Like out of your system? No, you're going to hold on to it until the next time you work out. So instead of worrying about like, oh, I have to have a perfect pre-workout meal, or I have to have the post-workout anabolic window, just focus on what you eat in the entire 24 hours. And that's just a kind of a way easier and way more realistic approach to your nutrition.
And then so you think, I mean, that's how I've kind of looked at things now. I'm looking more...
I to be honest, I love training fasted. I feel really sharp.
Yeah. I feel mentally sharp, but then I don't know, because I'm getting into bodybuilding now, if you want to call it that. I've never really lifted weights, so I have lifted weights athletically, like we said, differently, heavy, high reps, trying to improve power for performance, etc., etc., etc. Now, when I'm lifting in the gym, I'm trying to work out if it's... Do you perform better when you're calorie deficient, or when you're fasted, or do you perform better when you've eaten? I don't really know. So I'm trying to like test it, but I don't know what your opinion is.
It's mainly down to personal preference, especially if you're just lifting. If you're doing like a marathon or something endurance-based like fighting, you know, you probably should have some carbohydrates or some food in general around your training. But if you're just doing a little hour, a little bench, you know, there's going to be food in your system, and it's not as important compared to if you're doing a professional sport.
So if you're going to go for like a personal best lift, for example, like it's the day you're going to try and lift as heavy as possible, you would do that fasted, or you would do that fed?
I've hit some really big lifts fasted, but you know, maybe you want to have something an hour or two before, something light. But again, it's not that important as some people make it out to be.
Okay, cool.
And again, like, so you'll notice that, let's say, athletes or marathon runners, or even myself, who, when I'm doing a bodybuilding show, I'm stepping on stage, you carb up the days prior, because you don't just digest things, you know, just quickly like that, especially if you're having them with protein and fats and fiber. The digestion phase can take 24 or 48 hours. So you probably hear, a marathon runner when they've got a race on Sunday, or an athlete like yourself, they'll carb up the days prior. So, if you're just thinking, I'll just have something at 9 p.m. or 9 a.m. and I'll be completely replenished, it's not as important. It's not that kind of just instant.
Yeah, so carb loading, like you said, 24 hours, 48 hours.
Yes, exactly. And so, again, just like what I said, 24 hours, look at the whole day instead of just like your pre-workout meal, your post-workout meal.
Yeah, because what I'm trying to, just personally, I'm trying to look, rather than what I'm doing, I'm trying to look at when I'm doing it. So it's interesting for me when you said about you wake up at 6. I mean, I don't like getting up at 6. So let's call it 7:30 at a push. If my wife's listening, she'll say more like 8:30.
She'll call you out.
Yeah. But I'm not really a morning person, but I'm trying to look at when I do things. So I'm trying to now get the hardest part of my day out the way the earliest. That's kind of like I saw something recently, I'm trying to remember who it was by, so I don't misquote them, but saying about getting the tough shit done first.
Eat the frog first.
Eat the frog.
That's the quote.
Okay,
You got to look up that quote, because I'm messing up. It's something like, if you had to eat a frog throughout the day, you want to just do it straight away. That's the quote. Eat the frog first.
Okay, eat the frog first. I never heard that. That's not what I
meant. maybe I'm hallucinating when I heard that one.
It was because you haven't got any food inside you, so fasting. I think that's a really good way to look. If for me now, I try and have the fun parts of my day later. Like my whole mentality around achieving anything in life is trying to do the work first and get the reward later.
Yes.
So on a daily basis, let's talk about dieting. So let's say I want to have some pancakes. Yeah. Right, I treat that as a reward. So what I need to do, and then I give myself a task to complete to be able to eat those pancakes. That's kind of how I'm trying to look at things. So I want to try and, my first thing before physical fitness, at the moment for me, my priority in life is my physical fitness, because I kind of let myself.
You're in a phase.
I'm in a phase where I kind of let myself go a little bit. Before that, it was always make money. So like the first thing on my mind when I woke up is I wanted to get the task done that I know will move the needle when it comes to making money.
Yes.
Now I want the task done what move the needle when it comes to my physical health. So I wake up, I spend a bit of time with the kids, they go to school. As soon as that happens, I go to the gym and I have this psychopath, run me through whatever. Yeah. Like today I said to you, I was doing, to me it seemed weird, but you said it was normal. I did supersets of back and legs. So it was like, I would do a back exercise and then a leg exercise, superset. And I thought it was insanity, but apparently it's normal.
Yeah, that's not a bad one to pair, your posterior chain. And you can kind of pair anything together, and you can make it work. Like some people like doing chest and triceps, but then some people say, hey, I'll do chest and biceps because my triceps are already getting hit from pushing. So you can make an argument to pair anything. People do full body splits. It's all good. And kind of comes down to personal preference and hitting everything twice per week over the course of the week. So however you want to do that, you can do that.
And what he said to me today, which I found strange, was, again, this guy in my head's crazy, so I'm trying to explain it. He made me do the smaller muscle groups first and the bigger muscle groups later, because and this is a different exercise, but I did yesterday I did chest, and then I ended with legs, 2 or 3 exercises of legs. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, but surely legs are harder, like more muscles, more blah, 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 blah. So I should do them first. He goes, no, because if you did the legs first, you wouldn't even be able to do the chest exercise because you put so much effort into the bigger muscle groups. Yeah. Obviously, chest is a big muscle group too, but you know what I mean? So I don't know how you feel about that, like doing the legs. The last 2 sets I did were leg sets. Yeah. And in my previous life, when I was fighting, I would always do like my compound lift first, because it would be the heaviest out, right?
That's what I would usually recommend. But whatever you want to improve the most, and this is called like priority training, whatever you want to get the best at, you just put it at the start of your workout, because that's just when you're going to give the best effort. It's going to be when you're the freshest. So it's simple as that. If you are doing a chest movement, you want to get the best at bench press, then you probably put that at the beginning.
Well, that's basically what we're talking about. Priority training.
Make it a priority.
Priority life. So like for me, I'm trying to make the priority of my life at the moment is my physical fitness. So that's the first thing I do in the morning. Yep. For you said the first 4 hours you spend on your phone, on your laptop.
Yeah, just working on everything, because I know with my physical fitness, it's pretty much, I've gotten to a routine, a habit that it'll always be where it is. But with that said, now, if I leave it until 1, 2 p.m., if I don't go to the gym then, I end up just sacking it off and not having a good workout. If I say, I'll go in the evening, sometimes it cannot happen. So, the first start of my day, always work in gym.
If then you had competition coming up, for example, and you were having to put, would you workout before work, or you would always do the work then workout?
Yeah, I would always do just a little bit of work in the morning. It's just what I call like putting out fires. Yeah, you wake up and you kind of reply. You get all the replies that you're meant to do, and then I can kind of relax a little bit. I've tried the whole, people say don't go on your phone when you wake up. I've tried that. Stresses me the fuck out. I'm like, I wake up straight away, ding, 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 get all the notifications done, get everything out of the way, and then I'm like, phew, now I can relax a little bit. So yeah, even when I'm prepping for a show, I'll still, do all the stuff I need to do before. And then I can really just focus on training. But I still will try to get it done early.
You work across different time zones with your work as well. Do you think that's why you wake up and you're putting out fires, because of the American time zone or whatever it's going to be?
Definitely, yeah. So a lot of the brands that I work with, a lot of clients that I work with, coaching clients, will be in America. So, depending if you're in New York or California, there'll be quite a big time difference. But majority is UK and Ireland. We're an hour ahead here, which is nice. Yeah, you get that 1 hour. It's nice in Dubai as well. You're 4 hours ahead. Yeah. So you're texting people in the UK and it's like 6 a.m. for them. You're like, wake up, you lazy fuck.
I think that's. I also advise people, and I found it much easier. It's interesting to hear that, because I think I try and spend 30 minutes. An hour is a lot. 30 minutes off my phone, because otherwise then all I think about is the fires. Yeah. Because I've got a lot going on in different time zones as well. Yes. So as soon as I look at my phone, again, I got kids, I wake up, I'm on my phone. I can't even pay attention to these people running around, trying to get dressed, trying to get ready for school, whatever it is. I don't give them any energy or any time, because I'm on this device. And I think I try and if you want to call it advice, which you don't have to take because you get stressed out. Yeah, but I try and focus on myself before, even forget my business, I try and focus on myself and my own environment before anything else. So that first 30 minutes for me of the day is about connecting with myself and I call it connecting with the universe. Yep, sounds nice. A little bit like woo-woo. I like it. But connecting with the universe and understanding what I have to do for that day. So I'll sit there and I'll think, okay, today I have X, Y, Z. But today I'm doing a podcast with Lipsett. After that, I've got Christmas dinner, going to be sick, whatever. And I'll run through the day in my own mind. Then I'll spend time with my family, with the people around me, except then this isn't every day, because sometimes you just pick up your phone, but this is the blue sky morning for me, is to go through my day, understand what I'm doing, connect with my family, connect with myself, go outside, coffee, all that crap that you hear about on yeah. No, I try and do all that sort of stuff, and I do feel more at peace when I do that. But I always think that the fires, 30 minutes, an hour, it's not going to make a difference. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because then once I look at my phone,
you're sucked in.
I'm sucked in. Yeah. I'm completely sucked in, and I'm sucked in until you said that at night you're very good at setting. I should probably do that. Set an alarm to put my phone down.
So in notifications, it comes on like a do not disturb mode. You can have that automatically come on.
I have do not disturb mode on 24/7.
I saw that when I texted you. I was like, you gotta see this.
There's 6 numbers in my phone that can get through the do not disturb. So I'm used to that. But I think the alarm at night that tells you like, okay, now you can put your phone down and stop working.
Yeah, it's actually a game changer, because whether it be on your laptop or your phone, it's not necessarily a bad thing. You get into a state of flow, and then hours go by really fast, and before you know it, it's midnight or 1 a.m. and you're still hunched over your laptop.
Yeah. It's dreadful for me. I mean, I'm going to try that. I'm going to try and do that at night. Make sure there's a certain time. My wife will probably love that, I guess.
Yeah, I'll tell you. And so, you know what? Right, when I was kind of on the come up, I guess you could say, I was not making that much money. I was trying to get to that next level. I would be like, no Netflix, no nothing, no TV in the evening, grind. And everyone does have to go through a phase of that. And at the time, it was good in my life. But now, it's nice to chill out in the evening a little bit. It's nice to relax. It's good for the brain. So yeah.
Well, let's talk about the come up. That's kind of like, I like to go back in time a little bit and think about. So obviously from Ireland, and you grew up there, and before you moved to Marbella, it was Ireland, or were you guys somewhere before that?
So always in Ireland, in Dublin. I did, when I was in college, before I dropped out, I did 2 years that I failed, but I did 3 months in America, in Isla Vista in Santa Barbara. Okay. So it's like this college town, it's like American Pie. Absolutely crazy. The frat parties were the same as they were in the movies. I was like, I cannot fucking believe this. I went to a party once. It was on in Isla Vista. I lived on Picasso Road. If anyone's from there. And so I went into the house party, and the house was full of foam. From floor to ceiling. I was like, is the house not written off now? I'm like, how's the house going to recover from this? Anyways, I went through crazy party time in my life, my teens and, 20, 21. I tried to go to college. I was always terrible academically, so I failed first year college. They're like, all right, you got to repeat. Failed first year again, and right now I'm looking like Billy Madison. I'm older than all the kids in the class. They're like, you have a choice to repeat the year. It's like snakes and ladders. You land on that ladder and you go back to the first go. And they're like, do you want to repeat the year? I was like, no, I'm just going to drop out. And so I was at a stage in my life, I was like, all right, I've no college to go to. I've no job. I worked in some shitty retail jobs, nothing with any longevity. I had no qualifications. I had no parents or relationships or links to get me a job. No dad to be like, hey, come work for the company. I didn't have that, okay? A lot of my friends did, and I hope to be able to do that one day myself. I didn't have that. So I had kind of nothing, and I was even, my family, they went bankrupt pretty much, and we had to rent out our family home, turn it every single room into a hostel pretty much. It was shared accommodation, so we made there would be like a bedroom, we'd split it in two, put like a wooden panel in between, so the rooms were already small, and we'd rent out two. And so and then all my family moved out, my sisters, my parents separated, they went their separate ways. So all of a sudden it's me with nothing going on, no direction, in the house that used to be my family home, but now it's a hostel. Like, it was cheap to stay there every night because the rooms are tiny. And it was a dodgy crowd. I would get fights started on me in my kitchen from drunk guests. I'd get laptops stolen out of my room. I'd get money stolen out of my room. It was a horrible, weird environment to be in. And the fact that this used to be a loving family home that I was brought up in, super fucking weird time in life. And I was about 22 here. So I said, what the fuck am I going to do? What do I like to do? The only thing I'm actually passionate about, interested in, is going to the gym, which is kind of funny. The only thing I can do is bicep curls. I bet 300 euro in my bank account. And I was like, who's going to pay me to do bicep curls? And then I was watching all these guys on YouTube, Christian Guzman, Max Tuning, the Hodge twins, all these guys just talking about fitness topics on YouTube. And, they're selling programs, coaching, working with brands, sponsors, flying out to expos. And I said, I want to do that. No one in Ireland is doing that. Not even many in the UK was doing it, maybe like 2 or 3. Because we're all in Ireland and the UK, we're very afraid to put ourselves out there. And so I said, one day I'm going to, I was about to say pick up a camera. I didn't have a camera. Pick up my phone, iPhone 5, 1080p, no 4K. And the vlog is still there. And it's so precious to my heart. Like, I go back and, I sometimes watch it, and it's like 8 years old now, and I have a baby face and everything. And you can see the little shitty shared accommodation that I'm staying in. You can see the shitty kitchen, the shared kitchen. It's a fucking complete mess. And it's about like 10 different colors, in the room. It doesn't look like Villa Lipsett does now. And I just picked it up. I said, this is how I eat and train in a day. And word got round in Dublin. They said, hey, there's this young kid, he's mad into fitness, let's all go laugh at him. He's putting all his fitness progress online. But then there was a lot of people that said, hey, I actually like this. This guy is just being open. He's openly saying he's failed college, he's got nothing else to do, he is really knowledgeable about fitness. That is one thing I've always been bang on with all my information. And then it kind of caught wind, and I got a load of hate from Irish people saying, who do you think you are? But I also got a lot of love. That was the very beginning of my journey. And then I kind of went from there. And then I started putting more videos on YouTube addressing certain topics and myths. And here's the key to starting a business, right? You build a community first, put out the information first, provide the value first. And not only will you have customers before you even start, people will be telling you your business idea. People be like, your information helps me so much. Can I buy a program off you? Can I buy your ebook? Oh, you don't have one. Can you make one? So I was like, boom, I don't even have to think of a business idea. The first time I ever made money online, I put together basically, it was about 100 pages. It's actually pretty good. It was an ebook on training and nutrition. And I just said, I'm going to write something that I would when I was 18 starting the gym, that I would love to read. And so I made that, and it was 30 euro on my site. And I really want to go back and see who the first customer was. But the day it came true, it was like a PayPal notification. I was like, I'm gonna be a millionaire. But you'll never forget that first time you make money online. And then I was like, oh my God, here we go. And so that's where I started out in Dublin. And then, I started working with brands like Alpha Lead and Ghost. I was actually MyProtein at the time. They're one of my first sponsors. They're great, huge. I started working with brands, going to expos in the UK, America, getting more clients, getting more opportunities. And I went from there.
So you reached that point where you were watching YouTube, and then you became the guy who was going to the expos and doing the things.
That's it.
It's funny because you said about your family were broke and they had to rent out their house. And I went through the same thing in London. My family, during the recession, we had to rent out all the rooms in our house. And I think it installs something in you to be like, I don't want to be like that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Do you know what? So there's actually, I don't say this much, so you probably can't tell, but I have a real posh Irish accent, okay? And people make fun of me for it. They say, oh, daddy's boy, oh, you're posh. Oh, you probably got everything handed to you. And they don't know. I actually did come from really well-off family, but they went fucking bust. But just when I was like 18, like when I could have actually done with it. And so people had a big misconception about me, all because of my accent. And the school I went to was an amazing school as well. And I'm like, I got nothing to hide, so I'll just tell it how it is. But it's just funny how people have these preconceived notions about you. But yeah, that's the truth. I started with 300 quid in my bank account, no inheritance, no leg up, no nothing. And I bought with that €300. The first thing I ever bought was a Canon G7X, a vlogging camera. And now that's gone on to make a 7-figure fitness business. So that's some good ROI.
Great ROI.
Yeah, better than Bitcoin. Almost.
Yeah. I would never know you got a posh Irish accent.
Yeah, you'd only know it if you're from Ireland.
That's interesting. Yeah. That's interesting because I have similar thing.
Yeah.
I remember when the fighting because I speak pretty well.
Yeah.
Because my mom's from the East End of London, and she used to be adamant that I was going to speak well. So she'd, when you sit there with the books and you go through, she was on me constantly. Anytime I said anything in it no, you can't say stuff like that around my family.
I hate in it. I was like, come on.
Anything like
isn't
that.
It?
Exactly, isn't it? I'd be like, okay, mum, isn't it? And it's funny because when I was fighting, I had the same thing. I had someone call me a trust fund baby and all these sort of things. I'm like, bro, if you understood where my family come from, it's insane. But that's pretty amazing to hear. And I tell you what, I watched recently on YouTube is you just did a vlog recently, a couple of weeks ago, whenever it was, and you were talking about how people miss this. And I was thinking this is actually really good, like super, just yourself. On the camera, in your house, nothing fancy, no edit, nothing like that. And I've not seen your first ever vlog, so I'll have to go back and watch it after this interview.
It's crazy. Compare the two. Marbella Villa versus shared kitchen.
It's very, very different. But I think people resonate with that when you're just yourself and you're very, very raw and you're in front of the camera. And I want, again, you talk about the UK and Ireland and the putting yourself out there and how it can be quite an intimidating thing. And I've just done my first vlog. It's on my YouTube channel, first ever, but it's an edited one. It's done by a professional guy following me with a camera, all that sort of stuff. I'd like to do something raw like that. And there's something, I don't know, maybe, again, I'm very, very new in the YouTube space, but maybe you know, something called Vlogmas or something like that.
Yeah, Vlogmas, people just vlog like loads.
Every day.
Yeah, pretty much every day.
That's every day.
It's very hard.
I think it's super hard. But for me, I think doing an exercise like that would be I'm not sure the content would be so good, but it would be so beneficial to get myself out there to be able to blog and talk to the camera and just be like, hey, da-da-da. Because I find doing this, having a camera and holding it and talking to it, I can't even do it. I'm very good at speaking to the camera. I feel very comfortable doing stuff like this. But videoing myself, talking to myself, I mean, did you ever have when you did your first vlog, did you ever think it was embarrassing or hard or?
Completely. So if you actually look closely, you'll see loads of jump cuts from when I was like, or I'd be in the middle of talking, I just completely forget what I was going to say. And that still happens, but it's all just practice. And I'll say one of the best skills that you can have in 2024 is learning how to speak to camera. It's so important. If you have any business and you need to convey your message, you need to learn how to speak clearly to camera. Even, let's look at all the way up. Elon Musk, Apple, when they do those big presentations, they're all on YouTube. It's all about speaking to camera and showcasing your product. It's all about video nowadays. So learn how to speak to camera. But yeah, it's sometimes some people work better with a videographer when they have something to bounce off. It can be very difficult when you're on your own in an empty room, just holding up a camera. And it's kind of like doing stand-up on your own, and it can be difficult. And Vlogmas is also super hard. I find like this time of year, it's dark out, it's cold, not as easy to do it as in the summer. And then just go back on another point you made that, about that video. So, people like when things are, really good quality and well done, but people also like now and then to just like listen to someone have a chat and go out through their day and have something to watch while they're eating. And that's we often overthink and think our content has to be this magical, highly produced work of art. But nowadays, I think there's even more of a trend coming back to people just watching someone go throughout their day and getting some information as they go along. Especially if you're a successful person, you kind of want to see what they're really like. So it's an interesting one, and it's a new trend in YouTube that people are just, going back to vlogging.
I think Rock asked the producer here, because you've done a few podcasts, and he said you said something, you just said it again, but he said like you got to think of when you're doing a vlog or when you're talking to camera that you're having a meal with someone and they're spending intimate time with you or something like that.
One-on-one date.
Yeah. So imagine you're on a date when you're doing your vlog. I thought that was quite funny.
Yeah, and it's true. When you're eating with someone, you're getting the good emotions from the food, and then you're watching them, and you build up that crazy community. And I'll tell you, if we did the event together in June. If you want to build that hardcore community of people that will buy your products, people that will show up to your events, people that will work with you, YouTube and long form content like podcasts is just the number one. Yeah, no one has ever came up to me and said, "Hey Rob, I love your ab selfies." Hella sus. But people are like, "Oh Rob, I sat down and watched the podcast you did with Luke for 2 hours." And they'll name certain points, and they'll be like, "This part really helped me. Oh, I really related to this." But if you're just posting like a picture on Instagram that may look good, what can you even say about that? What can you actually relate to there? So doing long form stuff like this is the way.
I think what I try and think of now, because I'm getting into creating content, I think this is going to be my 19th or you told me that if I do 20 podcasts, I'm in the top 10% of podcasters, right? Or something like that.
Yeah, that's it.
So I'm getting close. Getting close.
I think you passed me out. I'm on like 15 or 16 or something.
I've been bashing.
Yeah, you've been bashing, man. Yeah.
But I think for me, I'm trying to send them, because a lot of people have asked me, obviously coming from the UFC and coming from fighting and all this stuff that I've done, and I get this a lot from people that I know, which maybe I was going to ask you, recently I had a comment from someone that I know well, and he was like, "Bro, this is embarrassing," and he commented it on my thing. And I was like, it really blew my mind.
What?
Bro. And I was like, it's okay for people that I don't know and strangers, or they can say whatever they want about my content. I haven't got a problem. But for someone that I actually know to say that, I was a little bit offended. But I think, like, for me, the reason I'm making content now is obviously I want to become a presence online, all that sort of stuff. But I've looked at the YouTube space, and I just think that if you said it earlier, when you wrote your first ebook, you wanted to write an ebook for your 18-year-old self that the questions that you could answer and things that you could help. And I look out at the influencers out on YouTube and the people that are spreading messages, and I'm trying to speak to myself at 15 years old, and there's so many people out there that don't have fathers, or they do have fathers, but they're so stressed from working and all this sort of stuff because they've got to provide that they're not giving the information that people need. So, I mean, that's what inspires me to try and send a message and try and help people as much as I can. Yeah. What do you think for you in the fitness industry? How do you stay inspired to keep creating content and keep doing things?
So I always like to not steal people's ideas, but look to others to get inspired from, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. If someone put you in a room and with absolutely no material, nothing, and just a blank white room, it's like, hey, think of ideas. It's very difficult. You have to go out into the world, you observe what other people are doing and say, how can I innovate on this? How can I put my own unique spin on this? And then ultimately, think when you started out, and you see, we've got experience, we've been doing this for many years. And so you go back in a time machine to when you first began and you just say, what would young Rob want to know? And so then you write out 50 things that young Rob would want to know. And so I'm actually on an interesting turning point in my career, I guess you could say. When I first started YouTube, all my audience, they wanted information on training and nutrition, and I've covered every single topic. Like I've written physical books, ebooks, apps. I've done it all, okay? I've gotten thousands of people in shape for free and for paid clients as well. And so now my audience, I've given them so much information, I've equipped them with it. When I go to like an event or anything, or I meet someone in the gym, they're always a guy that's hella jacked. Like they're fucking like advanced trainees. Like they're like bigger than me. And they're always like, oh, Rob, I've been following your content for years. You know, I'm actually a trainer now. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to develop a course and kind of a, some information that will take you from, I'm going to call it from the gym floor to the top floor, something like that. And we'll show you how to make money in the fitness industry, make a good living from the fitness industry. So that's the stage of evolution that my audience is at, that now they're like professional trainers and everything, and now they want to go into the fitness industry. So always just make content for what stage you were at.
Because I think that something I told recently, which I thought was super profound, is anything that you've done well in life, you turn into information for others, and anything you've done badly in life, do something else. So if you make a mistake and you mess up, okay, you need to find a new approach, and that's life. But if you've done now in 2024, like you said, I mean, technically it's 2023 right now. We're going to be in 2024 very quickly.
Yeah, very soon.
Very soon. Like content is king now. Everyone creating content. There's so much content out there.
Sometimes I hate saying that, but it's so true. It's just true. Like nowadays, people are like, "Oh, it's not all about social media." Yeah, how else are you going to grow your business? Tell me, like, what other ways are you going to put an ad in the newspaper?
I think people underestimate you call it like a bell curve of where we are with social media. I think it's still only the beginning.
Me too.
We again, Marbella crew, know all the guys in Marbella, whatever. There's only a couple of us that make content. And when you look at the amount of people that there are in Marbella that are doing well as well, it's like content is only just beginning. It's only, for me, it's like right at the start of that's again why I'm getting involved in the industry, because I see it as the future, and it's only going to get more and more and more. So I think if, like I was saying, like if you do something well in your life and you've been successful with it, the best thing you can do with that is turn it into information for others. So that's you said your audience is on a journey. You like you said, been 8 years, you say?
Yes. Yeah.
So 8 years making content, and now you've got people that have been following your fitness advice for 8 years.
And they're all jacked.
They're all jacked.
Yeah, now they want to become trainers.
They want to make money, right? So I think that for me, I'm in that quandary of my main lifestyle for the last 15, 20 years has been fighting.
Yep.
And again, there's not that much content out there about fighting, but I don't want to make loads of content about how to throw punches. So mine's all about mindset and how to push past barriers and utilizing the fighting mindset in the real world and business and everything else. So that's my angle on it. And it's trying to...
That's a good niche. Who else can really say that? I can't think of any UFC fighter, ex or current, that could say that lives a life like you do now.
Yeah, I can't think of any. I think for that, like the converting the mindset from everyone knows that when you train, the consistency and the hard work that it takes to be good at fighting and that it takes to be good at training, but you can just repurpose that and reapproach it to something else. Like we just said about making content and how I've made, this will be 19 podcasts in 19 weeks, haven't missed a week, won't miss a week for 52. I've said it on camera now, so I've got to do it. If I can keep finding the guests. But it's like that consistency and that hard work is that mentality that I have from fighting and from the gym. I'm trying to bring that out into the real world and into real life. And I think I've gone through the phases. When you're talking about your phases for your audience, I'm new to having an audience, but I'm sure I'll have one. And when my audience will grow with me, it's like I've gone from being a fighter to being a coach to being a business owner to being and I want to take people along that journey as well. And I feel like I did a piece on this recently. I've had 14, 15, 16, 17-year-old kids that have come to me that don't know anything about martial arts, and I have taught them how to fight for many years, and you become it's probably the same with a PT. They come and see you twice a week. You become their best mate and their dad, and you speak to them about everything in their life, girlfriends, everything else, and you're giving advice. So I went from giving advice on a very small scale to the 14-year-old kid that's in the gym that doesn't know anything about fighting or life, to now just taking those lessons and putting them out there for people to, everyone to hear, and hopefully lots of 14, 15, 16, 17-year-old kids that are fighters. I think the part of it that you need to also be able to inspire people with the way you live your life.
Yes.
Like with Rob Lipsett.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? People have to look up to you and be like, I want to be like this guy.
Yeah, so that's when like personal brand comes into it. So it's all well and good to give people information on training and nutrition, but it can become boring after a while, and people want to see what your personality is like. And what actually helped me so much at building my audience, so in my very early YouTube and Facebook days, I was just pure information. I was just pure, do this, do that. This is a myth. This is legit. And that was good. It got me an audience, and it helped people. But when I started putting in my personal touch to things, that's when things really took off. And so, we can all say, train like this, train like that, eat this much calories. But people want to see you, and that's when your personal brand comes into it, and people want to see how you would address certain situations and what you think about certain topics. So that's why it's important to also mix that in and show off a good, interesting lifestyle as well.
Yeah, I think I'm trying to do that. Hopefully I am. Like I said, my first vlog's just come out. Check out the vlog. That's, for me, I made this vlog, and I look at it and I think it's boring, right? Because it's me commentating on an MMA event in Manchester. It's the biggest event in Europe called Octagon MMA. It's me backstage commentating with them, how you see how it all happens. And I actually run 5 podcasts alongside it and showing my work ethic and everything I'm doing while I'm in Manchester. But for me, it's just normal life, so I just find it a bit boring. But everyone else said, no, it's interesting to see the back end of a fight show, blah, blah, blah.
Sometimes I'm like that as well, and we can be really hard on ourselves and be like, oh, this is shit, I'm not going to upload this. And that's just not the case. We're often our own worst critics and our own worst enemy. And it's like, we'll talk ourselves out of doing something. And we all have imposter syndrome. We all have that. And, we'll talk ourselves down. But to someone else watching, they'll find a lot of benefit from it.
So what's the next step for you with your brand and everything that you're doing? Like you said, you're going to try and attach to coaches now, or to the next level of creating money, right?
Exactly, yeah. So I want to do that, but ultimately, in the past couple of years, or past maybe 2 years, I've gotten a little bit distracted from YouTube, which is my bread and butter. Like, you probably notice how dear to my heart it is when I spoke about my beginning and picking up the iPhone 5. And then, I've started quite a few businesses that have distracted from that, built a house that took up a lot of time as well, became obsessed with that. And I actually want to strip everything back, because now everything kind of runs itself well. Now that I don't, I've hired coaches to help with the app and the high ticket coaching, fuel cakes, manufacture, fulfillment. I don't have to be there shipping orders and everything. I have someone running the social media. So everything's ticking along nicely on its own. And I've spent the last 2 years putting those systems in place. And so now I want to strip it back to just, me providing a load of content on YouTube. So kind of going full circle with things. And that's my main goal for 2024. And to also worry less about, like we spoke about, getting the perfect cinematic vlog and just bashing content out.
So content.
Yeah, and going back to it, because I haven't actually done that in 2 years. I've been working on kind of stuff behind the scenes already. Still obviously doing loads, but not as much as I should be. And there's a really crazy, Alex Hormozy, he did a cool quote. So he started out handing out flyers, for his business, whatever it may be. I'm, butchering this. And he went to the guy, and he's like, and some guy was like, hey, that he got the flyers off. He's like, how much flyers did you send out today? And he's like, 200. And he's like, what? 200 per day? And he's like, no, in a week. He goes, you need to be handing out 2,000 flyers per day. And so he related that back to content. I've definitely messed those numbers up, but whatever. Yeah. And he was like, oh, you're posting 7 days a week. You need to be posting 4 times per day. And so it's really a volume game, and it kind of made me realize I need to be going way harder on YouTube.
Yeah, I think if anyone who's making content, that book that he just released, $100 million leads. I'm re-listening to. I would say I read it, I pretend to be smart, but I don't. I just listen to the audiobook. And he said this, and people have said this to me. What you should do is listen to the audiobook while you read. Apparently, that's meant to be 10x.
Oh man, no, tattoo it to your brain. It's putting it in there, man.
But I tried to follow his when it comes to content, because
maybe he just wants to sell more coffees.
Yeah, maybe that's right. That's even genius as well. How he said it, doubled up. He's a man. Yeah. And his that book is actually just a complete lead magnet to his business. It was at acquisitions.com. So it's he gave it away for free to start with. I think you have to buy it now, but it was a free gift. Yeah. And then he's a genius when and what I like about Hormozy he comes from the gym.
Yes.
He's just a gym guy who started selling memberships, and he built up the same way
gym
everyone else.
launch. Yeah,
the gym launch.
It's so crazy, and something that I'll never. Probably my biggest. He puts out so much information that a lot of it, you can forget a lot of it. But one thing I'll never forget that he said, and it was in like this random. It must have been maybe 2 years ago, and it was in a random talk he was doing in like a college, and it was like, it was quite a long time ago, and it was quite a raw find. Anyways, and it was about 40 minutes long, and I was watching on a flight. And he said, he was successful before social media. No, he was doing the gym launch, and he had supplements before he was even online, before anyone heard of him. And he goes, how do I get to the next level? And he named these 3 people. He goes, I look at The Rock, Kylie Jenner, and Conor McGregor. They all have their brands. The Rock has tequila, Conor McGregor has whiskey, Kylie Jenner had some beauty products. And he goes, what are they doing that I'm not doing? And he was like, they have attracting audience of, millions upon millions. And he goes, right, I'm going to have to just smash social. And then he went on just a mission. This goes back to how important social media is. Yeah. He went on just a mission of getting everyone to hear about him, which now everyone has heard about him. And so I'll never forget that talk he did. He said, he's already a multi-millionaire, but if he wants to get to that next level, he needs to blow up his personal brand. And that's just really taught me how important it was.
Yeah, just personal branding and content. Like you said,
it really just hit home with me.
What he talks about as well is repurposing content.
Yes.
And how I know people that have multiple. So we talk about Instagram or TikTok or Twitter or whatever, called X now, whatever. They have multiple of the same. So they don't just have one Instagram, but they have 10 Instagrams.
Yes.
And you think posting the same video on 10 different Instagrams it's stupid, but you forget I have this recently. It's recently worked for me because I got banned on Instagram. Yeah. I lost my account, so I started a new account.
You definitely deleted it yourself because you wanted to start another one. I was like, I know his game.
So I was banned, and I'm not got a huge following on Instagram. I had like 65,000 or something like that. Solid. And I got banned, and then I started a new one, and I started uploading the same videos that I had on my old one, all that sort of stuff. And now I've got my other one back because I had to get a lawyer to get it back. It was crazy.
Saw that. Doctor something.
Yeah, helped me out.
Mad stuff.
Luckily, through my network, I knew a guy that got me a lawyer, so it sorted out. But now I have these 2 pages, and I upload the same video on both pages. But it's funny because you think putting the same information out twice, but I have different audiences on both pages, and it gets sent to different people because of the algorithm. So I'm just getting twice as much people watch my stuff. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
Exactly. And so it's a huge one right there. And I only kind of learned about that recently. And there's another one, okay? Let's say you have a really good vertical reel, okay? Mm-hmm. So nowadays you can post a vertical piece of content on, probably even more than this, you can post it on YouTube Shorts. You can post on Twitter, you can post on TikTok, you can post on Instagram, you can post on LinkedIn. And so prior to what you just said, I would think, I'll just put it on TikTok, or I'll just put it on Instagram. And then it flops. And you're like, oh, whatever. But nowadays, it's like you can just put it on each one, and it could go viral on one of them, and that could change your business overnight. So you think like, oh, I'll just put it on one. Oh, I'm sure everyone's seen it.
Yeah, completely not.
No, you gotta. If you have piece of content, you gotta put it on the 5 platforms. Oh God, Facebook, another one. Oh man, so check this. Okay, check this. I had this video. It was just me flex at the start, and then I show what I eat in the day and how I train. I said, training programs, go to buygameplan.com. And I was like, one day I woke up. It was like about a week or 2 ago. It's like fucking. So many sales, like so many monthly subscriptions, just €39. So it was like 30 that I woke up in the space of 6 hours, all reoccurring. Yeah, but so they're gonna stay on subscription. Yeah. And I'm like, where the fuck did these come from? I didn't even post yesterday. And I went onto Facebook. There's like this video that had like 600,000 views overnight that I posted ages ago, but it just hit the algorithm, and I don't even check my Facebook. And I was just like, oh my God, that is powerful. I'd already posted it on every platform, and it just randomly went off on like Facebook. It's crazy.
Yeah, I hate Facebook.
I don't go on it. I don't go on it.
But I need to get one by the sounds of it. So
yeah, no, it's just nuts, and it's mad how just like, it's like kind of, how do I say, it's playing a slot machine.
Yeah.
You keep posting, you keep going, then one day just boom. It's nuts.
What I was told recently, which I'll repeat here, which maybe I shouldn't or should, but is for every hour's content that you create, you should be able to repurpose that 50 times.
Yeah.
So you should be able to put that across the 5 platforms. So you need to make 10 bits of content from that 1 hour that you can then repurpose across 5 platforms. So that's now my metric that I have in my mind when I create a podcast with Rob Lipsett. Yeah. I then split that into 10 different bits of information. That could be shorts, that could be 8-minute clips, that could be whatever it's going to be. And then they get put on YouTube, like we just said, all those different content places. And you're just giving yourself more of an opportunity to grow.
Exactly.
You feel, or I felt like, because you think, or I think.
Because you've listened to it already, you've done it.
Yeah, but then I think my followers or my fans or whatever, they follow me on all the different platforms anyway, so it's just going to be repeated. But you need to think about the algorithms and those guys that aren't on certain platforms and everything else. I'm not on LinkedIn, so I'll have to join that as well.
I'm yet to, I need to hire someone.
That sounds too professional.
But that's the people that have money. Like they're the people that have money and that they will want high ticket coaching, for example. So there's a lot of fitness trainers who will work with, like, their niche will be, very busy CEOs that just need a lot of accountability. So LinkedIn would be perfect for them. And then maybe someone has an app that's like €10 per month. That'd probably be better for students who just want to be told what to do. So TikTok for that. So, every platform has kind of a reasoning behind it. But a quick one on what you just said about, getting an hour's worth of content and distributing it. That's why YouTube is number one. Okay, so think about this, right? We're recording this like landscape, like so. If we were recording it vertically, we can't put it on YouTube as a long form. You can't do a vertical podcast, it just doesn't upload. It'll just upload as a short. But you can crop it and take it vertical. So YouTube comes first and horizontal content comes first, and it all trickles down. Because you can make vertical content from YouTube horizontal, but you can't do it the other way around.
Okay.
So that's it. So this is the king. So always film in landscape.
Start YouTube and then filter down.
That's
the other
it.
way.
That's it. Yeah. Okay. Upload the hour Q&A and then get it from that. Yeah.
We'll end the podcast with a bit of a shout out to Marbella.
Yeah.
And you being here, and I just wanted to, obviously you have built the villa. Yeah. So what brought you to Marbella? Why did you end up here? What do you think of it? I know I've had a few Irish lads use the podcast studio because of you being in I think a lot of Marbella is full of Irish, they're everywhere. So what brought you here? What was the beacon that brought you here, and how come you stayed?
Yeah, there's actually so much Irish here now. It's great. I feel like really at home. And so I was actually living in London in 2020, right? Just because, it's kind of something that a lot of people do. They go to London. It's when you're living in Dublin, like it's so close, it's a 45, 50-minute flight. And I have a lot of friends in London. I was doing a year in London. Anyways, it was brilliant. Had a great time. Lockdown happened, 2020, the year. And so it was just a weird time. Gyms were getting shut down for 3 months at a time. These fucking bullshit restrictions. You had to buy a meal to enter into a restaurant, all this shit. So I had a good year in London. There's a shitload of house parties. It was fun. But I said, okay, I need to get out of the cities. I need to get out of the city. Can't go back to Dublin. It's still turbo lockdown. London was still going into lockdown even into 2021. So I said, okay, I'm going to stay within Europe, Irish passport, euros. Let me make a checklist. Okay, where has year-round weather? Okay. Right. Where has an entrepreneurial community? Right. Where has is more or less English speaking. Yeah, everyone speaks, even the locals speak fluent English. Where has insane gyms, like the biggest gyms in Europe. London gyms are shit. They're all studios because the land is too expensive. So the gym I went to was King's Gym. It was like, out in Mitcham. It was like I was living in South Kensington. It was half an hour Uber every day.
Posh kids,
fucking Kensington kids, right? And so I go gyms, right? Okay, nightlife, beaches, mountains, like the best food, like the best restaurants, healthy restaurants, meal prep, other people in the fitness industry. When you actually write out those lists, you write out that checklist. There's only one place in Europe, and that's Marbella. There's only actually 3 places in the world that does those checklists. The sun and everything. It's Marbella, Miami, and Dubai. They're the 3. Yeah. They're the only English-speaking gym, fitness places, entrepreneur community, supercars, yachts, everywhere. If you want this lifestyle, they're the 3 places. Can you think of another one? No? California's gone to shit.
Screw
Screw
California,
that, man.
no
I was
way,
there
no
last
way.
summer. It's gone to
They're-
shit.
they're the three.
Sorry, Cali.
Maybe Bali. Maybe,
Yeah, Bali. Yes,
maybe
yeah, that's a
Bali.
good one. But again, it's kind of, you can't even drive a car there.
Yeah,
you know what I
yeah,
mean? Like,
yeah.
it's a little bit disconnected. You know, it's a bit unprofessional. But so for me, anyways, there's 3 places. So I said to Linda, I said, all right, look, we'll wait for gyms to come back open. We'll get an Airbnb in Marbella for a month. And I used to work here on the port when I was like 18 or something, worked in Sky Bar, handing out flyers. Start from the bottom, now we're here. And then, so I came out here, and instead of like, you know, going partying, I was just, you know, working on fitness business, going to the gym outdoors in the sun every day. And this is January, and I was like, whoa, I'm actually making more content here. I'm more productive. We're getting more clients. I'm happier. And so I said, hey, let's get another month in Airbnb. And I did like 6 months on an Airbnb, like kept going. And we were just so happy here. And then more Irish people started coming out, more friends. We'd have like friends and family visiting. And we were like, oh, I feel really at home here. And then when you look at property prices, you probably don't know much about Dublin property. It's the most expensive in Europe now.
Wow.
More than London, more than Paris. For the city, it is like per square kilometre or something. It's a rip-off. It's like if there's an actual housing crisis. Like
Wow,
it's a
okay.
big problem in Ireland. So to buy a house in Ireland is just insane. If there's any Irish listening to this right now, they will know what I'm talking about. Even rent is fucking wild. It's more expensive than Kensington rent. It's crazy. So we ended up buying a property here, renovated it, which we finished around this time last year. We're still, you know, buying bits and bobs for it. Like, it takes a while. But yeah, so that's how I ended up moving here. And yeah, a lot more people are going to do the same, of people who want that checklist.
Yeah, I think it's become with yourself, and because I've been here 9 years, but I
Yeah.
was in more like the Malaga end, and slowly gravitated towards Marbella, like for all the reasons that you just mentioned. And I'm an extremely well-traveled guy. I've been all over the place. I'm constantly on a plane. Yeah, I'm constantly on a plane, as you know.
Yeah.
But I find it, and it's actually the exact same 3 places that come to my mind. But I wouldn't want to live in the desert. And Miami is too, what's the word used for it? Degenerate?
Yeah,
would be the
man,
word. And America for me is dead. So, like, I honestly believe this is the best place in the world to live. I really, for
Me too, honestly.
And I also have the family angle. I've got kids, and I walk, like, when I say I, probably more my wife than me, but we walk the kids to school along the beach, drop them off, have a coffee. Like, you can't beat that lifestyle, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
And it's safe for everyone, like for kids and stuff on the beach. It's just an incredible place to be.
Yeah.
So
So on Miami, I was there about a month or 2 ago, and I went on holiday, and I think America after COVID, like, there's just a lot of homeless, crazy people who run the streets, a lot of litter. It also rained every day. I was like, what the fuck? I guess we went in the off season. And, you know, we went and we had a really good time. I do really like Miami, but I was like, oh, you know, I could have just stayed in Marbella this week and done the same things. Yeah, I could have gone to the beach, could have gone to Nobu. Yeah, it's all kind of the same. And then in Dubai, you can't even go there in the summer. It's too hot, apparently. I've never been this summer.
yeah, it's awful.
It's
awful.
just like a no-go.
And I was there last week or a couple of weeks ago, and the traffic there is insane. Like, to get from one side to the other, it takes you like an hour and a half. It's mental. I feel like if you're looking at Dubai like a crypto chart, don't know if you do crypto, but if you're looking at it like a crypto chart, it's definitely topped. You know what I mean? Like, it's on the way down now. I think that, again, talking about property prices, they're like 3x in the last 18 months.
Yeah.
Gone crazy there. So I feel like Marbella is kind of still a little bit, people don't know about it as well, much as they do the Miami's and Dubai. So I feel like with yourself coming here, and there's a few other people like influencer type that have been here and are kind of spreading the message.
Yeah.
I feel like more and more people are gonna get here and enjoy the sunshine and enjoy the place. So yeah, I think we did the right thing.
We're pioneers.
let's
We're
call
the
it-
founding fathers of Marbella.
Let's call it that. Let's
Yeah,
call it
yeah.
that. I think we'll call it there. Been great getting to know you a little bit better and learning about you. So if you want to tell the guys that are watching, if they don't already know, how to find you, where to look you up.
Yeah, for sure. Just Rob Lipsett on all platforms. I got that clean username. No spaces, no full stops. Just search that in and and you'll find me very easily. And then you'll find training programs, buygameplan.com, fuelcakes.com for the best protein pancakes in the game. Make your diet easier. Come on, eat pancakes every day. Get shredded. And yeah, you'll find everything I'm up to there. But no, I really appreciate you having me on. I know this was a long time coming, and huge congrats on the studio. And it's something that I'm very proud to say is in Marbella.
Thank you very much, brother. And all those links will be below. Thank you so much. I hope everyone enjoyed it. Loads of real good information about fitness. I mean, I didn't want to spend too much time on talking about lifting weights and drop sets. I'm sure you do that all the time. I wanted to get to know you a little bit better. I think we did that. So enjoy it, guys. And I'll see you next week with another podcast.